leading the way with important local coverage. You're watching WISN 12 News at 10.
Is the GOP backing Kanye West's presidential run? 12 News investigates the attorney who delivered Kanye's signatures to get on the Wisconsin ballot. Local schools looking to bring students back to class. 12 News asked one superintendent what it would take to trigger another shutdown. An earth-shaking explosion killed more than 70 people and injured thousands. 12 News talks to a local family of one of the survivors. First, 12 News investigates new controversy surrounding rapper and businessman Kanye West's attempt to get on the Wisconsin ballot in November. 12 News' Matt Smith was the only reporter in Madison when campaign workers dropped off signatures at tonight's 5 o'clock deadline. Matt?
Patrick, tonight election officials say that petition is pending. At least 2,000 valid signatures would be needed as new questions arise tonight about whether some Republicans are helping Kanye West get on the ballot. Minutes before the 5 p.m. deadline, the SUV pulls up. 12 News is the only camera there. Inside, a shuffle of nomination papers for Kanye West, forced to call election officials since the building is closed and eventually emerging. How many signatures did you collect? Walking in seconds after 5 p.m. and escorted to the commission's third-floor offices. Can someone come down and let us up?
Yeah, I'll be right down.
Thank you. Minutes later, 12 News was asked to leave. So they are submitting petitions for a public campaign and we cannot get video of that?
They're in our office, which is closed right now.
Okay. And the woman submitting the petitions, anything on signatures or who you guys are, didn't answer any questions on the way out. But tonight, 12 News has confirmed that's Lane Ruland, a Madison attorney who has worked for the Wisconsin GOP and RNC. The New York Times is also reporting on a handful of Republican aides in other states working to get Kanye West on the ballot, raising new questions about the campaign's purpose. As 12 News exclusively showed you last night,
this is just to help put his name on the ballot so that, he can run for office.
The campaign hired the firm Let the Voters Decide to collect signatures in Milwaukee in an 11th hour effort to get on Wisconsin's ballot.
Matt, are Republicans responding to any of tonight's developments?
Patrick, in a statement late tonight to 12 News, the state Republican Party says it appears Kanye West's campaign made a smart decision by hiring an experienced attorney. State election officials say they will decide in the coming days if the West campaign met all of the qualifications to qualify on the Wisconsin ballot.
And we know you'll stay on it. Matt Smith leading us off live at 10. The pandemic is creating a poll worker shortage ahead of next Tuesday's primary. Statewide, Wisconsin clerks are at least 900 workers short. Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett says the city will have 170 polling sites open, far more than the 5 sites open in April's primary.
I don't expect to see any lines whatsoever. And because such a high percentage of people are voting by mail, I expect there to be very, very few, if any, problems.
Mayor Barrett says personal protective equipment and plexiglass are being sent to polling places this week. Poll workers will also be screened before working Tuesday. Wisconsin added 728 new coronavirus cases today and 12 more deaths. Milwaukee County surpassed 20,000 positive cases since the beginning of the pandemic. 58% of all cases in the state are here in southeast Wisconsin. 9,709 cases in Wisconsin are classified as active tonight. School districts planning to hold in-person classes this fall are also prepping to shut down if coronavirus gets into the classroom. 12 News' Caroline Reinwald is live in Burlington. Caroline, how many cases would it take to close the schools there?
Well, the superintendent says they're going to respond uniquely to each case and that it likely will not be the students that would shut down the district. It would be the staff. The Burlington Area School District superintendent doesn't have a specific answer as to when they'd shut down in the event of a COVID breakout in school.
At least initially, perhaps the most accurate answer is it's yet to be seen.
Currently, the plan is to send pre-K through 6th grade students back to full-time in-person learning spread out between elementary and middle schools. Secondary age students learn from home half the week, in person at the high school the other half. Based off the county reopening guidelines, currently in a high-risk category, the district is going against recommendations. But the superintendent insists if there was a breakout of cases, they'd turn to the health department for guidance.
The greater likelihood is that we would have to close a classroom or a school or the whole district down as a result of not having staff. That if staff are sick, that percentage threshold of what we can actually manage without their presence is different than if students were out.
How many people in one class or in one school would need to test positive before you make the decision?
I know that if we have a teacher who is out sick or tests positive, I would think that's pretty compelling.
Caroline, Burlington isn't the only district bringing students back to class in the fall. What about other districts?
Well, the Oak Creek, Franklin, and Economowalk school districts are also bringing students back for in-person learning. I reached out to both of those districts multiple times for comment and never received a response. Patrick?
Caroline Reinwald, live in Burlington tonight. Caroline, thank you. Today, Governor Tony Evers said the process of allowing school districts to set their own reopening rules and protocols is working for now. He says he has no secret statewide plan to shut down in-person learning due to the pandemic, but the Senate's top Republican thinks that could change.
I think the governor is probably being lobbied heavily by the teachers' unions of the states to shut down schools in person, at least.
The virus is every place in the state of Wisconsin. It's taking a toll every place in the state of Wisconsin. School districts have different challenges and opportunities.
Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald says he believes the legislature would step in and try to stop Governor Evers if the governor tries to keep students home. Right now, at least 78 people are dead after a massive explosion in Lebanon's capital city. Video shows the moment that blast rocked Beirut, injuring thousands of people. 12 News' Ben Wagner is live in Milwaukee. Ben, that explosion touched some families here.
Right, Patrick. At least one local family has a relative who was injured in that blast. We've also been in contact with a UW-Madison grad in Beirut who called that explosion both traumatic and terrifying.
Is that a bomb? Oh my God! Oh my God!
The explosion flattened much of the city's port and sent a mushroom cloud high into the sky. The blast killed dozens and injured thousands more. It was so powerful, it registered as an earthquake in Beirut. That explosion also touched families here in southeastern Wisconsin.
It just hurts because, seeing the explosions on the same streets I walked in, and now they're all destroyed. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Zainab Fleifel is a UWM student, lives in Greendale, and has family in Lebanon. Her uncle Abbas was injured in the blast.
I was like, oh, did they put you in a cast or did they put you in a sling? And they put him in a sling, but it's made out of a towel. So they don't really have any resources to help anyone who's really been injured.
It's horrifying. I can't even begin to describe.
UW-Madison grad Naya Hanan was just 10 minutes away from the explosion. She wasn't injured, but her pregnant sister is now in the hospital.
Within seconds, glass was flying, blood was everywhere. I could see bodies around me. It was honestly one of the most traumatizing experiences I've ever lived through.
Investigators are now trying to figure out why that explosion happened. Lebanon's chief of security said it might have been caused by highly explosive material confiscated from a ship being stored at the port.
Ben, the president spoke about the blast today.
Right, Patrick. The president said that the U.S. stands ready to assist Lebanon, and there are a number of ways to help, too. That area is very much in need of donations. We'll have links to those on our website, WISN.com.
Ben Wagner reporting live in Milwaukee. Ben, thank you. The military says it has located the amphibious vehicle that sank during a training exercise last week off the coast of California. 8 military personnel died. A 19-year-old from Oak Creek, Private First Class Evan Bath, was among those on board. Tonight, the military says an underwater search and rescue robot located human remains on the sunken vehicle. Efforts are underway to recover that vehicle and the remains. 2 groups representing minorities in Milwaukee are at odds over the job performance of Milwaukee's police chief. Investigative reporter Derek Rose is at police headquarters with the letters from both groups. Derek?
Yeah, Patrick, the letters came within 24 hours of one another. First on Monday, a letter from the Mexican Fiesta Board in support of Chief Morales. Then today we heard from the NAACP of Milwaukee, which had a much sharp criticism of the chief, very critical of the chief in its tone. The verge very sharp, accusing the chief of deliberately lying to the community, creating a conspiracy against community leaders, specifically Fire and Police Commission Chair Stephen DeVogus. The NAACP claims Morales had a role in the illegal release of sensitive and confidential police department files to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. But the NAACP offered no proof the chief was responsible for the leaked file, and an independent investigation did not find the source of the leak. The NAACP letter came after nearly 300 people on the Mexican Fiesta Board signed a letter supporting Chief Morales. The group wrote in its letter to the mayor, asking the mayor to immediately overrule the directives issued by the Fire and Police Commission and call for a full investigation of the FPC and appoint an interim FPC chair, as the chairman, Stephen DeVogus, is currently under investigation by the Ethics Board. Patrick?
Derek, you mentioned the FPC directives. There were a couple of deadlines today. Did the chief meet them?
Well, one of them was in regards to the use of chemical agents during protests. He posted a video. You'll see that coming up in just a little bit. But I also reached out to the Fire and Police Commission to see if they directly received any information from the police chief or his lawyer in relation to these deadlines. We did not get a response from the FPC. Patrick?
Derek Rose live at Milwaukee Police Headquarters. Now, the video that Derek was just talking about. Tonight, the Milwaukee Police Department released a video defending its use of smoke and tear gas during recent protests. The video highlights 6 protests in late May and early June where police used smoke and tear gas to break up crowds. In each case, police say they followed proper procedures. They say they only used the chemicals when protesters started to threaten lives and property.
There have been at least 100 protests that have occurred within the city of Milwaukee. There have been 6 instances when members of the Milwaukee Police Department have had to use a chemical agent.
The Milwaukee Police Department has absolutely no problem with peaceful protesters. And we do not use chemical irritants towards peaceful protesters. We encourage people to exercise their rights, but we want them to do it within the confines of the law.
The Fire and Police Commission had ordered Chief Morales to provide an explanation by today. Weather Watch 12 now, meteorologist Sally Severson is in for Mark. And Sal, it still feels like fall out there tonight.
It certainly does, especially since we've had such a warm summer so far. So dipping into the 50s at night yesterday, 60s for highs. Today a little closer to 70. We'll add another 5 degrees or so for tomorrow and see a steady warm up that will continue right through the end of the week. But Lakeshore Park, it's beautiful. We have 61 degrees. The dew is down to the low 50s. And for now, wind is calm. We'll look at a light west wind for tonight. Temperatures right now, 52 in Waukesha, 53 at Burlington, still 60 at Port, and 54 at West Bend. Starshine for tonight, mid-50s along the lake, a little cooler inland. We'll talk about a mix of sun and clouds for tomorrow and mid-70s. Patrick?
St. Louis Cardinals players and staff members with coronavirus drove home in rental cars after spending time in quarantine in Milwaukee.
Is that a protocol you'd recommend?
Next at 10, how Milwaukee's top health expert answered that question from 12 News. One of Wisconsin's biggest private employers is ending work from home, why some say the company is ignoring public health advice. Plus, why you'll have to pay extra to see Disney's Mulan remake when it's finally released next month. And later, where Giannis's baby appeared on the big screen today.